The winds of change have swept through Tiong Bahru, and small indie outfits such as art galleries, lifestyle shops and cafes have sprouted up in the historical estate, jostling for space with old-style grocery shops and kopitiams. The new stakeholders are determined to preserve the quaint feel of Tiong Bahru though.
There's a lot that hasn't really changed because obviously it's a heritage site with all the residential buildings. Sort of like Holland Village, that culture has been publicized so much that it's even been parodied, as opposed to Tiong Bahru, which is kind of like hidden away. So I think in a way, I mean, the only people that have ever talked about, Tiong Bahru changing, I've never heard them talk about it in a negative sense. I've only ever heard them saying like, thank you for bringing more people in.
Is there a struggle, like you want this place to be more known and yet you want to keep it as a secret?
It's a fine line. I think it's an extremely fine line, and hopefully we thread it very well. I think people still come here because of the fact that it is a very old neighborhood. It is very different from the rest of Singapore, and the fact that it is not as crowded as a Holland Village, for example, or as a Dempsey. So we hope it continues to stay this way. If not, then the charm of the area is going to be lost.
I believe there's space for everything, as long as it doesn't overstep any boundaries. Like, for example, for us, we are a bookstore. It can be considered quite a quiet entity, as opposed to maybe a bar or a nightclub, which would completely mess up the vibe of the neighborhood.
What do residents and visitors feel about this new entrance?
A place must evolve. You keep the facade, you keep the way it looks, but it has evolved in such a way that all these little indie shops starts coming in because they have their own character. So when they come in, you know that this place still has its character.
New business that come into this area, probably some form of screening is should be in place so that unique shops like books actually and all those little cafes get brought up will bring about a different identity to this area rather than NMCs and what we see along the high streets.
你自己本身是住Tiong Bahru吧？
是我16岁住到现在。
可以跟我讲一下你在这边住几年了
？30年有。
30年前和现在比起来，你觉得Tiong Bahru有什么样的改变呢？
有改变了，不一样。不一样，物也改变了，统统改变。就是这些屋子拆掉，起新的，旧的全部保留了，这样而已了。
那这些新的店来，你会不会担心Tiong Bahru变太快？
不会啊，我老板要卖掉，卖掉这个屋子。
他要卖掉哦？为什么卖掉呢？
我要不要做了？我们老了是做不来了。
The good thing is buildings are conserved. And a lot of the other good factor is a lot of old people are still staying in this area, which is why I see a lot of old facades are still in place, old grills, old metal doors and stuff like that. But if these people move on, I do not know how will the influx be like in the future. Or the buildings may be there, but if the people are not authentic, then the soul will be lost.
Change also means that property prices will be affected. In the case of Tiong Bahru, shop owners and residents are concerned by rising property prices. Chef owner of Centerpiece, Stephen Ong, saw his rent increase substantially during the last 4 years.
Everything will start to, the price, the property will all rise up, because of people start to realize that this is a jewel that is not really been fully tapped yet. Even now, I just saw there's a sales for residential unit. They are selling for like 1.2 million, something like that, it wasn't like that like half a year ago.
As the saying goes, the only constant is change. How Tiong Bahru evolves and whether its change is for good or bad is as yet unknown. For now, immerse yourself in its rich Singapore history while sipping a gourmet coffee in an air-conditioned cafe in the new old Tiong Bahru.